the member's time has expired.
I know. I'm moving for extension. This is so good.
It's not happening today.
Mr. Speaker.
Jackie Dean.
Oh, what a blessed relief when that bell rang and it was only 2 minutes and then Mr. Winston Peters had to sit down. That was very good. The House is much relieved about that turn of events. Mr. Speaker, in an election year, it's a really good opportunity for the national government to reflect on what our priorities have been, and with the budget coming up on the 15th of May, to really put our stake in the sand about what we want for New Zealand, what we want for this country. And I'm very proud to say that the national government has been focused on the things that matter to New Zealanders from the moment that we came into government in 2008 and leading up to the election on the 20th of September and, of course, Budget Day on 15th of May. Here we are, putting our stake in the sand and telling New Zealanders what we plan for the future and, in fact, what we stand for. So this government has had 4 key priorities in the time that it has been in government, and those are: we are responsibly managing the government's finances, just like New Zealanders expect us to do, just like New Zealanders voted national for us to do, and just like we are doing. The economy is growing by 3.5%, with a similar forecast of growth again for this year. And on average, wages are growing faster than inflation. Business confidence is at its highest point that it has been since 1999, and the terms of trade are expected to remain just as high. The government will produce a budget surplus next year, and that is in the context of other countries who will still be in deficit and indeed building up debt. And secondly, we are building a more competitive and productive economy. That is our second major focus. Why? Because that means creating more jobs, it means increasing wages. Mr. Speaker, the average weekly wage has gone up by 2.8% in the last year, and that is compared with inflation that went up at 1.6%. And through our business growth agenda, the government has been investing heavily in education and training to lift skills and match the needs of employers. I was interested to hear the comments of the previous speaker, who quite mistakenly contended that this government is ignoring the provinces. Quite the opposite is true. And if I talk to my own province and I think about the huge amounts of investment that have gone into the province of Greater Otago, and I have a look at some of the ups and downs that all businesses have, and if I have a look at Summit Wool Spinners, which was sold to Canterbury Wool Spinners, and so the company changed hands and there was a loss of employment in the town, and those who wished to talk down the economy, it was all doom and gloom. Well, here's the good news. Most of those workers have either been re-engaged or have found other work because they are skilled, they are valued, and I, for one, will not hear of those skilled workers being talked down in much the same way as the opposition are fond of doing. If I have a look at Macrae's, same scenario. The ups and downs of business. Macrae's gold mine, suffering because the gold price is on a current low, has had to lay off a number of staff. Doom and gloom in some quarters of the House, mostly on the left-hand side. It's fair to say, well, here's the good news. Most of those workers have either been found work in and around North Otago or in fact have been re-engaged. There is work out there. There is opportunity out there. Why? Because this government has got such a strong focus on building the economy. In fact, as I go around central Otago portion of the province of Otago, there are some pretty severe skills shortages, to the point where I am attending meetings with people saying, well, what are we going to do about this? We've got work, but we cannot find the workers. That is due, or the situation that we find ourselves in is because this government has had such a strong focus on building the economy, building wages and finding jobs, real jobs for people. And thirdly, I am so proud that we have got a strong focus on rebuilding Christchurch. Now, we said we would. During those awful dark days of the earthquakes, we said we would, and my colleague and friend Nikki Wagner, Christchurch Central MP, has, I believe, spent probably the last 2.5 years living, breathing, sleeping Christchurch people and their needs, and how we can, as a government, work with those communities to rebuild Christchurch and make it strong again. It's the work of people like Nikki Wagner on the ground, proactively, positively working with the people of Christchurch, together with government ministers, that is proving to make such a difference to the people of Christchurch. And finally, our fourth strong priority in the past, now and in the future as we go to the budget, is delivering better public services within tight budgets. We know there's been a global financial crisis. We know we've had to get government spending under control. Bill English is another minister who has worked ceaselessly to bring government spending under control and get good value money for spending on public services, because we know over this side of the House that it's public money, it's taxpayer money, and we have a duty to spend it wisely. I want to talk about the better public service targets, and that is within the justice sector. And that is a sector which is led by the Honourable Judith Collins, who is providing outstanding leadership in the justice sector, and whose work, together with Anne Tolley, Minister of Police and Corrections, and Chester Borrows, Minister of Courts, is making a difference to the lives of New Zealanders. Target: reduce overall crime rates by 15% by 2017, violent crime by 20% by 2017, and reduce youth crime by 25% by 2017. What is the result so far? Total crime down. Total crime down by 12%. Violent crime down 8%, and youth crime down 19%. That is a success, and that is making New Zealand safer. Those are excellent results already, and huge credit must also go to the police, with their unrelenting focus on making New Zealanders safer in their homes. There is some pretty smart policing out there, with the Prevention First strategy and a strong focus on preventing crime. We visited Auckland, we visited Mount Roskill Station. We had a look at the crime reporting line. Now, Phil Goff is forever bemoaning the fact that the front desk at the Mount Roskill Police Station has been closed. He sees that as a bad thing. Well, talk to the police themselves who work within that station, and they couldn't be more happy that they are providing good service to the New Zealand public. People are using the crime reporting line. So instead of having to go down to this old police station, stand in line, make a report, they now lift up the phone and make a crime report to a person who is a dedicated taker of those calls. They are getting good service. Mr. Speaker, I just want to finally talk about our correction system, and to say that the targets for corrections is to reduce prisoner reoffending by 25%, with the result already of a 12% reduction. But please, don't just take my word for it. Today, the Law and Order Committee considered a report, an independent report from the Office of the Auditor-General on the Department of Corrections managing offenders to reduce reoffending. And here is what they said. Summary of our findings. The Corrections Department has a clear strategic priority to reduce reoffending, which staff understand well and support. The Reducing Reoffending program is based on sound intervention logic that targets the groups and behaviours that contribute disproportionately to rates of reoffending. The Department now offers programs to prisoners on remand or short sentences who had high reoffending rates but who were previously ineligible for rehabilitation.
Order.
The program is expanding. The program is showing results. Independent evaluation by the Controller and Auditor General is showing what this government is achieving.
Members'
Thank you,
time
Mr.
has
Speaker.
expired.
Mr. Speaker,
Honourable Clayton Cosgrove.
I thought